Hey, how you doing? It's Dan here. Welcome to the show today. I wanted to address a pretty serious issue going on in today's world, and I thought might be able to be helpful because someone close to me is going through some pretty serious chronic health conditions, and their body's like shutting down, and they're pretty young, in their 20s. Okay, and of course the medical bills are stacking up, right? So they're approaching it from that medical paradigm because that's what most of us are programmed for. Now, medical science. I have a deep respect and appreciation for the medical sciences, no doubt. Okay, acute conditions, if you need some stitches, or if you have some kind of major trauma or accident, or if you need antibiotics, I totally understand that. But as far as the mass of mankind, like 70% of the people really need to learn how to take control of their own health. And so I wanted to make a video today addressing that and encouraging, maybe you can share this video with some of your family or friends. But anyways, these chronic conditions are coming from a deeper place. And a lot of it involves the mind, body, and emotions as well. So I like to approach things from the dietary standpoint because that's a real practical way to begin the process of excavating where you're not caring for yourself. Because most of us can realize that Doritos and ice cream and candy bars and all the junk food at the gas stations that most of us, when I say we, I mean pretty much all of us imbibe in at one time or another. And there's nothing really wrong with any of that stuff. But what we can see, though, is that we can look to nature and we can say we are natural animals. And I guess the underlying launching point for this video will be that we are really made up of the elements of the planet, of which we have, separated ourselves from to a pretty large degree. But we're not going to take billions of years of biology and then all of a sudden with some modern technology, a few cell phones and living in boxes and driving in boxes and staring into boxes and looking at the boxes and typing into the boxes and working in the boxes, are we going to be able to separate ourselves from that natural, elemental process that leads to a healthy human being? So obviously we need to return to nature. That doesn't mean we need to negate all of the things that are available to us now, like juicers are beneficial to bring balance back to the system in a way where we're not going to all stop driving tomorrow. We're not going to all just get out of the bed and go start sleeping on the ground. It's not going to happen, which would be really good for you. Sleeping on the ground is really good for you. But just as far as health goes, I want to encourage everyone to start thinking of, earth, air, water, and fire. And the fifth element being space, and that's where consciousness comes in. And that's very important as well, because this is a very, holistic approach. And if you're only approaching one aspect of it through like pills and surgeries, you will probably never get well. You're looking for wellness, pleasantness, ease, and, fluidity. You want to have a nice flow of life energy moving through you so that you can accomplish your tasks and be healthy. So we'll start at the base of the food. The natural, wholesome foods is a launching point, and that's where a lot of people are going wrong. And so when we're talking about that, I'm looking at these whole, organic, wild, nutrient-dense, water-rich, vitamins, minerals, enzyme. That's why I always say raw foods or living foods or natural foods or whole foods. Cooking foods, is it the worst thing ever? No, a little steamed broccoli is not going to kill you. But if you, take like animal flesh and you fry that, there's some things that happen naturally there that once put into the body can begin a process of really bringing the body into a downward trend. instead of an upward trend where the fruits and the vegetables and those simple foods with that structured water and the nutrients that are easily absorbed into the bloodstream and then all to the glands and organs to the brain and into the blood, so that it can at least at that level, those fruits and vegetables is what your body is made out of. The fruits and vegetables are the transference of the earth to you are a piece of the earth. That's what this body is. Okay, so you want to get as natural as you can. Now this, of course, I've made a million videos and I have all the DVDs that are still available for you to learn about that on my website. That's regenerateyourlife.org. And if you want to learn how to eat naturally and you're seeing my videos for the first time, you can go to regenerateyourlife.org and order some DVDs and get super educated on the recipes and how to keep all of your foods intact so that the fats, the carbohydrates, and the proteins are all bioavailable. So when we heat them up and alter them in excessive ways, then the body begins to not be able to recognize. The water actually gets destructured, believe it or not, when you apply heat to it. So you want that structured living water in the whole fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and wild foods and herbs. Herbs are amazing to bring healing and health. So just start there and do the best you can with natural foods. But that's not all. That's just step one. After that, you're going to start to get clarity in your mind because these foods do actually feed the brain at the most subtle levels. Very, very subtle. And so you're going to want food that was grown with integrity, with a good intention, to the best of your ability that you can find. Farmers markets, organic foods, foods grown consciously. So if you want to create health, you need to do so consciously. You just can't go into this world and go with the flow. It's just not going to happen. If you want to create wellness in your being, you have to become a conscious being. And that is the most important thing. We want to just look to the doctor, or we want to just be like, there's nothing wrong with these Doritos. It has nothing to do with health. I was attacked by some disease outside myself. No, we created everything from within. So I'm just going to call it like it is. We're responsible. And if we don't take responsibility for creating wellness, then we're going to have to take responsibility for creating dis-ease. So let's create disease by becoming very conscious of what we're doing, by waking up, paying attention. That's really more of the underlying message that I want to bring forth. And I'm on the same journey myself because it is amazing. Once you start this process of, cleansing out your body with the foods, getting sobered up off the drugs and alcohol, removing all of the escape strategies from the emotional turmoil or those unpleasant emotions that are coming out of your unconscious. We've all got it to one degree or another. Some of us have a little bit more intense trauma than others, but that's a beautiful thing because that can help us to really blossom into the person that we're meant to be. If we take that compost or that shiite and we grow flowers from it, okay? Some of us are going to do that. A lot of us are not. We're going to complain. We're going to blame. We're going to criticize. We're going to look outside of ourselves. We're going to blame the government. We're going to blame all kinds of different reasons externally. But nothing that's going on externally can affect your inner world. If you really have the ability to connect with that place inside of you where joy does come from, and where that ease is at all times, it really is there. And our mind, it resists, and we look to the outside world and we say, well, this externally is not going the way that I perceive it should for me to have joy, so I'm going to be in a state of non-joy. But you can stay in a state of joy even if the external circumstances around you are not going exactly the way that you want. So we want to start that practice of creating that inner joy, that fluidity of being present with life and allowing what's coming up to come up and then let it just disappear. I've got a nice mantra for you. If you want to heal it, you got to feel it. I know you've probably heard that before, but the truth is that I really feel strongly that that is maybe even more profound than we realize. And we can take that out of the box of cliche and we can move it over into the box of this is a truth. If you want to release stagnant energy that's holding you back, that arises out of the unconscious, then you're going to have to actually walk through the fire. And I want to encourage you to do your very best to look at that as a beautiful process. Okay, it's beautiful. It may not be pleasant right now because certain times you'll go through this life and you'll be having anxiety, and that produces chemicals in the bloodstream, and you're not able to perform as well. But you're going through the process if you stay awake through that. If you use substances or food or other escape strategies to avoid that, what you'll be doing is just really suppressing that. And that's one of the issues with the pharmaceuticals and whatnot. Okay, there is a place for those types of things. There's no doubt. There is no good or bad or right or wrong in this world. But you want to make sure that you are actually showing up to life 100%, so that you can create that wellness, because maybe at a time when you were younger, you picked up a lot of ideas and you made a lot of decisions before you had a real rational mind or the tools to create a perception that was accurate. So right now, what you might want to do, especially if you're really working on creating wellness, is to focus on your perception and using that ability to perceive the frontal lobe, actually, for lack of a better way to say it. And there's all kinds of different ways I could say it with Eastern traditions and Western traditions and stuff like that. But the most basic way is saying activating the energy in the frontal lobe, where the logical mind can develop tools and skills to begin the process of actually reprogramming the unconscious mind by allowing the unconscious self-destructive mechanisms and decisions that were made at a younger age before all the data was in. You can start to make the unconscious conscious through your life experiences, and you will probably bring things to you unconsciously, like dis-ease or any other type of disharmony, or people or places or things or circumstances. And if you sit long enough in meditation, and fasting also really seems to be an accelerator for me. When I'm fasting, I can see the unconscious programs a lot better. Even just one day of juice fasting can bring clarity to perception around situations. So you really would do well in any aspect of your life to really practice the art of clearing your perception and being really honest with yourself about, why is this coming up in my life? Why do I have a disease? And if you're one of the people, now I've made videos till the cows come home, and I'll make a video on cancer, and you'll always get the victims. And I don't mean to be, I don't try to be cold or callous, but you've got to take responsibility for how you're showing up in regards to what's coming up in your life. And when you look deep, at least my own personal experience I'll tell you from, I can see how from within I am attracting these things into my life vibrationally. I am creating a scenario where the way I expect people to treat me is the way that they treat me. And if I can change that expectation by looking at that and raising my own sense of self-worth and say, hey, I deserve to be treated better than that, then you're going to raise the bar, and either that person's going to show up at a higher level in your life, or they'll vibrate out of your orbit. See what I'm saying? So you have to keep caring, nurturing, evolving yourself consciously. And so, are we living unconsciously, or are we living consciously? And if we're living unconsciously, then we can't really blame anyone or anything. We've got to do the work of being responsible and waking up and being perceptive and being straight. with ourselves. At the end of the day, that's a good way to say it, isn't it? Just be straight with yourself. Maybe you can't be honest with your mom. Maybe you can't be honest with your dad. Maybe you can't be honest with your partner. Maybe you can't be honest with your kids. Maybe you don't have anybody on planet Earth that you can be 100% straight with. But I'll tell you what, if you want to have an awesome life and have goosebumps flowing through your body and continue to re-experience more joy, you're going to do really well to be straight with yourself to the best of your ability and use that perception, that tool, to pierce the veil of this like unconscious fog that I've seen even over the most advanced people. You can see areas where you've been through where they might even be the most advanced people in certain areas, but they're not awake in these other areas, and vice versa. And you just got to wonder to yourself, I'll put myself on the spotlight here. Hey, Dan, where are you staying unconscious, and do you have the courage to face your unconscious? Because you'll never have a life of joy. You'll never have a life of ease. You'll never have a life of being able to love if you just allow that unconsciousness to remain. So bringing that consciousness there and being present with this process is the way, because you will, when you ask, you shall receive, because you're asking yourself. And when you're straight with yourself, you're going to get clarity. You're going to break old patterns. You're going to break old cycles. And you're going to be able to move on and evolve instead of staying stuck. So many of us stay stuck. And I have been advocating health. But now I'm advocating wellness on a holistic level. So I hope some of this video touched you in some way to where you feel empowered to continue this process that you're in. It's called life. You can stay the same and evolve just this little bit by force, or you can become a spiritual dynamo powerhouse. And you can create a scenario where your cup is overflowing. Wouldn't you want that? Don't you want to be loving to people? Because you don't really want to look to receive love from people. You want to look to be the giver. It is the giver of love who has a cup that's overflowing because you paid attention and you were willing to create that wellness consciously in your experience so that you have abundance in your life because you've eliminated poverty consciousness. You have wellness in your life because you took responsibility and you eliminated victimhood. You cared enough about yourself to go away from the people that want you to stay stuck with them because that's their comfort zone. You are an individual soul. You really are the center of the universe. Your universe. That's where your experience is taking place. So when you ask, you shall receive. Ask yourself the hard questions. It's amazing what happens on that bed right there. When I ask those questions and go through this amazing process accelerated right now, and I want to take the acceleration I'm going through, transmit it to you, and see if there's any way that the work that I'm doing and allowing to take place within me can be a benefit to you, because that would be such an honor for me to be part of any type of catalyst or transformation that you experience. I will do everything I can to continue to be of service to you here on the YouTube, and I thank you very much for your time and attention today. Again, share this video if you want to with your family and friends on Facebook. It's kind of a good one. It's really, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are human beings having a spiritual experience. There's different levels taking place, and the more awake and the more aware we can be, the more we can see how we're creating and attracting these things into our lives. Then we can become empowered to make a difference, and we can write a new script. We can be the star in our own show. We can be the producer, the director, the writer. We can do the makeup, and we can have a lot of fun here on Earth. And it can really be a joyful process. Yes, it goes up and down. Yes, there's pleasantness and then there's unpleasantness, but you can cultivate more and more pleasantness by being honest with yourself and then allowing the work to take place within you because you were just simply said yes to life. And the more you say yes to what's happening in your present experience, the more that flower within you can blossom and become the most beautiful flower that you can be. So thank you very much. Peace be with you. Have a great day.